All right, guys. So we have a new update on the student loan debt situation. This is an update that I seem to be giving once every couple weeks or so because there's new articles all the time on this stuff. Biden zeroes in on plan to cancel $10,000 in student loans per borrower. President Biden is nearing a decision on student loan debt forgiveness, with the president and his team zeroing in on canceling $10,000 per borrower with some potential caveats, means tested. White House officials caution no decision has been finalized as Biden continues to weigh his options. The president is scheduled to speak at the Naval Academy's commencement ceremony on Friday, at the University of Delaware ceremony on Saturday. Multiple reports indicated Biden considered using the weekend commencement ceremonies to announce some student debt forgiveness, with the Washington Post reporting the timing was changed in the wake of a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that left 19 children dead. A White House official disputed that was the case, however. Quote, "No decisions have been made yet, but as a reminder, no one has been required to pay a single dime of student loans since the president took office," Deputy Press Secretary Vedant Patel said. Multiple sources told The Hill in late April that Biden was looking at canceling at least $10,000 in student debt, and indications are the White House appears to have settled on that number even as they work through potential limits on who the loan cancellation would benefit. The Washington Post reported Friday that the latest iteration of the plan called for capping the debt forgiveness to individuals who earned less than $150,000 last year, or $300,000 for married couples. It is also unclear if the cancellation would apply to all student loan debt or just undergraduate students. Biden in the 2020 campaign supported for giving at least $10,000 in federal student loans per person, after several other candidates made student loan forgiveness a key part of their platforms. Since taking office, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have repeatedly pushed Biden on the issue, insisting it would provide immediate relief to minorities and low and middle income families. Schumer has called for canceling up to $50,000 in student debt per borrower. While that large sum has been publicly ruled out, Biden has in recent weeks made increasingly clear he is prepared to provide some student debt forgiveness. Quote, "I am not considering $50,000 debt reduction, but I'm in the process of taking a hard look at whether or not there will be additional debt forgiveness, and I'll have an answer on that in the next couple of weeks," Biden said on April 28th, days after he reportedly told members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus he was open to forgiving some student loans. The White House has yet to give an updated timeline in the month since Biden said a decision was a couple weeks out. It's a classic Trump-like move. We're going to have an answer in a couple weeks, maybe. But officials have pointed to actions that have helped student loan borrowers over the past year and a half. Biden last month extended the pandemic moratorium on federal student loan payments and interest accrual through August. Loan payments were first paused in March 2020, early in the pandemic, under then-President Trump, and the moratorium has been extended multiple times since. The White House has repeatedly said Biden is prepared to sign legislation canceling student loan debt, but in the meantime is weighing what authority the president has to unilaterally wipe out some debt. Now, a report came out, by the way, that said whether or not Biden can eliminate it through executive order, and they redacted the entire thing. You want to know why they redacted it? Because the report said you absolutely can, and he didn't want people to know that he had that power. And so he's been dodging by saying, if Congress sends it to my desk, I'll sign it. Yeah, but you have the authority to do it already on your own. There was I think it was 1963 or 1964 or 5 Higher Education Act, and under that, the Secretary of Education, at the behest of the president, has the ability, if they want, to totally wipe the debt slate clean. Conservative critics have pushed for student loan payments to resume, arguing the moratorium has cost the federal government billions of dollars, and that any widespread forgiveness would disproportionately benefit wealthy Americans. That is total BS. A study from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget found that roughly 75% of student loan repayments come from the top 40% of earners. What they don't tell you is that the bottom 90% in our current system are barely scraping by. There was a poll that came out, this is before the pandemic, about 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So this idea that, it's disproportionately going to affect the wealthy. No, you know what really happens with the real wealthy, the upper middle class and the rich? Their parents pay for their schooling, pay for their higher education. That's what happens when you come from money. You don't take out student loans. So it's mostly impacting poor people, middle class people, and people who might fall in that upper middle class zone, but they still live paycheck to paycheck, and they don't come from real wealth. So, and by the way, even if it does forgive loans for some people who are really wealthy, I don't care. Really wealthy people get Social Security too. Does that mean I want to make Social Security not universal and turn it into means tested by income? No, I don't want to do that. The whole purpose of a universal program is that it is not a welfare program, so that everybody gets it. Everybody benefits from it. And so then it's much more politically potent, because if you take it away, you have to take it away from everybody. That's why the right loves means testing stuff, and corporate Democrats love means testing stuff, because then it's more likely to end eventually, because it'll get lambasted as this is welfare. And welfare does not poll nearly as high as universal broad-based programs. So, and by the way, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget it's a right-wing group. So I don't even trust the numbers that they have here. 40% repayments come from 40%, the top 40% of earners. That's nonsense. The wealthy and the upper middle class who are financially secure, they have their parents pay for their student loans. So, God, it's so obnoxious. The idea that you try to portray a policy that would absolutely help working people as like, you're just trying to benefit the rich. It's the dumbest thing I can imagine, and it's so disingenuous. They know they can't win on the merits of the actual conversation, so they just pretend that people who want to eliminate student loan debt are like, you only want to help the wealthy. This is coming from people who their only policy that they always come back to is let's cut taxes for the rich. So, by the way, if student loan debt elimination actually only impacted the rich, they would support it, because they're in favor of giving all the welfare in the world to the rich and every corporate subsidy. They want socialism for the corporations and the rich. They want them to loot the treasury. They just don't want the poor and the middle class to get any of the benefits. So, anyway, back to Biden. So I predicted this. I said, here's what Joe Biden's going to do. He's either going to do nothing. He's not going to cancel any student loan debt. Or he'll do whatever the minimum is. $10,000 is the minimum that's on the table. And he'll means test it. It appears like that's exactly where he's falling. He's falling on the side of, let's do 10,000 and means test it. And he keeps postponing it. There was an article the other day that we covered where it said he's agonizing over the decision. Agonizing over eliminating student loan debt. Look, as a matter of principle, we shouldn't have student loan debt. Look at the way that we fund elementary school and middle school and high school in this country. It's just paid for by tax dollars. And so people don't go into debt to get educated. Well, now a college degree is what a high school degree used to be. To get a shot at a decent job, you need to have a college degree. So it's just continuing with the same framework and mold that's been laid out for elementary school, middle school, and high school. It should be free at the point of service, paid for by taxes. And by the way, you should get an option. Either free college or free trade school. So you could, specialize in something specific so that, you can earn a living however you feel is appropriate. So what would be the political fallout if Biden were to do this? If Biden were to do this, here's my guess. The right would all flip out and say he's helping the rich by doing one of the only things he's ever done that's helped working people. They will continue to pretend like this is a giveaway to the top 1% or something. And you're going to have, so they're going to flip out. They're going to have the left base is going to say, that's it. You're only going to give $10,000 in student loan debt reduction. That's it. And they're going to say, not enough. It's not enough. People are still going to struggle. It's just simply not enough. And your incrementalism is part and parcel of the problem of the Democratic Party, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Why are you trying to walk the line between the right thing and the wrong thing? Split the difference between the right thing and the wrong thing. Just do the right thing, which would be full student debt elimination. So that's going to be the response from the left and the right. But I will say, probably from most people, they're just going to support what he does here. And independent people, apolitical people, people who are moderate Democrats, you know, who don't follow this stuff all that closely, they're just going to see that and say, oh, okay, that's a good thing. And so my guess is, if he were to do this, he would get a slight bump in the polls. Maybe 4%, 5% in the polls. And it would be a popular thing, even though the right would flip out and the left would say this isn't anywhere near enough. But look, it has to be said, if he were to do 50,000 in student debt elimination, it would be even more popular. You get a 6 or 7 point bump. If you were to eliminate student loan debt, maybe he gets an 8 point bump or a 9 point bump. And you'd have the right get really pissed at him, but basically everybody else in the country, including the left base, would be like, based Biden. This is awesome. So, look, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's better than nothing, but it's time for like big, bold change, real transformation and reform that tries to ameliorate some of the extreme wealth and income inequality in this system. And giving people who are in student loan debt more purchasing power and giving them a better chance at a brighter future and more disposable income, I think that's nothing but positive, regardless how they try to fudge the numbers to say, oh, you're only helping the wealthy. So anyway, there you have it. Looks like he's settling on 10,000. You take that news however you'd like. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.